I have countless amount of deals that I have not followed up on that cost me $100,000. What's up, everybody? In this video, I'll be giving you my top 3 most costly mistakes that's cost me over $100,000 while wholesaling real estate. Listen, it's painful to talk about, and what's important here is just making sure that you don't make the same mistakes that I make that can potentially cost you $100,000. Let's get into it. So in previous videos, I know you probably heard me say it took me 2 years to get my first deal. It actually wouldn't have taken me that long to get my first deal if I did not make these top 3 mistakes. And to be honest, I actually had my first property under contract after 2 months of wholesaling. Now, this stuff can be discouraging, but my very first mistake that I made as a wholesaler was not being patient. Let me tell you a story about what happened. So basically, I had a seller that lived all the way across the country over in California. And of course, I'm local here in the Charlotte area, and I decided that day to drive for dollars. This particular property was showing up in PropStream as owner occupied, but when you look on the outside, you could actually see that this property was actually vacant. So that lets me know a lot of people weren't reaching out to that seller. The seller was constantly paying taxes on the property, and the property just was taking money out of her pockets. So what I did, I skip traced the seller, reached out to the seller, and come to find out the seller actually wanted to sell. They were ready to get rid of the property. So me and the seller talked about the property condition. I put the property under contract, and I got it under contract for $170,000 in that particular area. Not being patient, which is my number 1 mistake, it cost me $20,000. So I got the property under contract, and I started working on the disposition part of the deal. I pulled buyers out of PropStream, and I started marketing to them, and within the first day I noticed that these particular buyers were not responding, or they would say, oh, that's too much for the property, I'm not paying that amount. And I had pictures and everything to show them what the property looked like in the inside. So instead of being patient and continue to market and expand out the buyers that I potentially could sell to, I decided to go straight back to the seller after day 1 of marketing the property and trying to renegotiate the price. The seller was not buying it. She wanted me to cancel the contract. So I canceled the contract, and I wasn't able to talk to her for a couple of months. So I guess she couldn't wait till I called her back again, because when I called her months later, she picked up the phone and she said, hey, guess what? I said, what? She said, I just sold the property for $190,000. I was saying to myself, there's no way nobody was gonna buy it for $190,000. A couple of weeks later, I saw that she sold it for that amount. And at that point, I told myself from here on out, I will always be patient with the process. If I got the property under contract for at least 30 days, I'm going to spend that whole first week trying to market the property at that price. If I'm not able to get the price that I'm looking for, then I will go back and try to do a price reduction, because I know at that point I exhaust all my options. But please don't make that costly mistake. And that type of mistake there cost me $20,000, and it added on to the time it took for me to get my first deal. So please avoid that. Let's get into this next crazy mistake. So the next mistake I made was, and I really don't want you to make this mistake, I did not hit the like button. Please hit the like button, because it's going to help in the YouTube algorithm. And please subscribe, hit the notification bell, because that's going to help out the channel. And I noticed that 90% of everyone is not subscribed to the channel. So please just take a few seconds to get that done for me. Now let's get into the next mistake. So this next mistake that I made was actually a pre-foreclosure mistake. So you know, when it comes down to pre-foreclosure, these sellers are in a tough situation. They're distressed sellers, and they need to sell quickly. So I reached out to a seller that I went to the courthouse and pulled all the pre-foreclosures in my county. And at that point in time, she wasn't really ready to sell. Her husband just passed away, and she started to get behind with her mortgage. So basically, she was trying to make stuff work. And she said, hey, reach out to me in 2 months. I'm not ready to sell at this point. I don't even know if I'm going to sell. And just reach out to me in 2 months. So I saved it in my calendar to reach out to her. But before that time even came, she reached out to me. I built rapport with her, and she knew, okay, I was going to be the first contact when she was ready to sell. So she called me around Thanksgiving time. So I'm back home with my family, and I received a text through the software that I was using to send text messages saying, hey, I'm ready to sell. When would you be available to talk? So I called her right then and there, and we started talking about it. And I told her, well, let's schedule some time for next week to get this done because I was home with my family. That was the biggest mistake that I made. What I should have done, I should have gotten on the road that same day, because it sounded like she was ready to move forward that day. And I should have went there because it was like 2.5 hours away. And I should have just came back to my family and spent Thanksgiving with them. Instead, when I tried to reach back out to her the next week, another wholesaler already came in and put the deal under contract. I was going to put the deal under contract for around 160, 165. And so obviously I believe the wholesaler got it around that price, and they sold the property for around 180. So if I got the property under contract for 160 and she sold it for 180, that was another $20,000 that I missed out on just because I thought time was on my side, not thinking that, hey, this seller is in a distressed situation and they need to leave now. So please don't make that costly mistake and think that the seller is going to wait on you. You better believe that if you're calling them, there's 100 other wholesalers or investors calling them as well too, ready to take the deal if you're not. So please don't make that mistake. Let's get into this last mistake, and I feel like this mistake that I'm getting ready to get into hurt me the most because it was pretty much all my fault. Let's get into it. So this last mistake that I made that cost me another $20,000 was not having POF, aka proof of funds. So I ran into this seller that had a property and her father was in a nursing home and she needed to sell. This is one that you call a unicorn deal. First contact, seller was somewhat ready to sell. We were already in communication. She was already communicating with other people that wanted to buy the property. And they actually came in at a lower price than I did. So this particular seller had multiple other wholesalers or buyers or whoever that were reaching out to her, making offers on her property. She liked the fact that I was offering a little bit more, of course, and that I was really just breaking down the process to her and how it would work. I really built rapport with her. So she was ready to move forward on the deal. The issue that I ran into was she asked for proof of funds, and I did not have proof of funds to actually get this property under contract. So what ended up happening was the other buyer that she was communicating back and forth with had proof of funds. And he said, hey, he told her, hey, listen, I have proof of funds. Make sure the person that you get ready to sign an agreement with has proof of funds as well too, because you don't want them to be wasting your time. We know that you need the funds. We don't want them to be wasting your time. And he played it smart. So that POF, which is proof of funds, cost me $20,000 because he sold it for around $189. And like I said, I could have easily got it under contract for $170. We already agreed to the price. She was ready to sell. It wasn't really no negotiation at all. She was fine with the $170 number. So my advice to you, start building a relationship with local hard money lenders in the area that may be able to provide you with proof of funds. Or they have proof of fund letters that's online. Now, I don't know how you will feel, how comfortable you will feel about using these proof of funds letters that you see online, but start building relationship with these hard money lenders, which is most important, and they'll be willing to give you proof of funds because guess what? If they have buyers that borrow money from them all the time and they borrowing at 15%, they'll be willing to give you that information because that's how they make their money. So don't make the mistake that I made and miss out on over $60,000. And now when the $100,000 come in, this is a mistake that everyone is making. The $100,000 come in whenever you do not follow up. I have countless amount of deals that I have not follow up on that cost me $100,000 over that 2-year span that I did not get a deal. So please don't make that mistake. And if you need any guidance on getting started in wholesaling, please check out this video right here on how to get started in wholesaling. Or check out this video right here that will show you how me and a JV partner made $8,000 in 15 days on a deal in a virtual market that we were in. So please feel free to check out those 2 videos. And like I said before, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'll see you next time.